Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So, a slightly different video today. We're looking at honey. In fact, we're looking at the ways of testing honey for its purity. I've done the food exposed video on honey a little while back and it's been really popular. And we talked about the fact that our honey, or majority of the honey in our supermarket shelf, is very much adulterated and diluted with things like corn syrup, sugar syrup, that kind of thing. And some of them, in fact, not even honeys at all. And little do you know, literally the other week, we had an article in the paper again saying and confirming there was another research done, and still our shelves in the supermarket are filled with honey that are diluted with other things. So after I've done this video, some people said, well, actually you can do some tests and test for the purity of the honey. And some of you suggested that I do a little bit of digging, find the methods of testing the honey, and then put this theory to the test and see which one comes out the best. Well, first of all, guys, there is, right, a load and loads of information online for testing your honey. And yes, there are loads of videos on testing your honey, but I've gone through pretty much majority of the test, okay? And I can certainly say to you that a lot of results are actually inconclusive because, okay, it's very important to understand, even the adulterated honeys, okay, be they obviously diluted with the sugar syrup or corn syrup, they do have a very similar viscosity to the honey. So a lot of tests that are currently people are suggesting and the tests that I've created are kind of based a lot on the sugar content and viscosity, which is, well, if they're very similar, then of course results are not going to be 100% guaranteed. And of course, many things as well depend on the quality of the honey and how adulterated the honey is, or in fact, if you're using a fresh honey, how fresh the honey is. So it is very important for you to understand that this research has been done for, let's call it, for entertainment purposes, because there is no true way, okay, unless we have able to send our honeys to a laboratory to have a look under the microscope. There's no true way we can actually establish which true honey is true honey. So there we are. But nonetheless, I'm going to go through the brief methods of what you can do, and you can have some fun with your children or have fun yourself and have a go. So, right, first of all, I've got the selection, a small selection of the honeys here, and I've been doing the 3 tests when I was doing my tests. Okay, we're talking about the sugar syrup, pure sugar syrup, the runny honey, which is pretty much, I don't know, 90% of sugar syrup, and a raw real honey. First of all, okay, we're going to be talking about the crystallization, okay? Fake honey, okay, like a sugar syrup, it doesn't seem to crystallize. I know some people commented that apparently their honey is cheap honey, crystallized. Well, to be fair, I have one been sitting on the shelf a couple of years past date and it's still as runny as it was opened yesterday. But I do have a decent honey that I've made before. This one is mixed with chamomile, and you can see it's crystallized quite a lot. And so is quite a lot of my other honey. So this is kind of the natural test, first of all. Again, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it does give you a little bit of an idea. So number 2 test, okay, it's a water test. And again, there is a few tests kind of floating about how you can do this. And one of the common ones, if you drop a little bit of honey and, well, whatever you're testing up against, in a little glass of water, okay, the idea is that the adulterated honey, okay, the one was diluted with sugar syrup, will dissolve quicker, okay? Again, it all depends on the viscosity of the honey, okay, and real honey and the fake honey you're testing. But, okay, the one that has the most sugar will dissolve quicker. And yes, believe this or not, honey, it is majority of the sugar as well, but real honey should only contain 18% or 18 to 20% of moisture. So nonetheless, I did do my little test, okay? And to be fair, yes, again, it's difficult for me to show you this on the camera. I have tried, it's dingy, it doesn't work, but take my word for it. Only for transparency with you guys. I'm never gonna lie. Whatever results are, I'm just gonna tell you. So anyway, so the adulterated honey or the sugar syrup honey, okay, it dissolved quicker, like unintended. And the honey, it's still dissolved, okay, but during the process, you can see that the adulterated version was dissolving easily into the water and the water was becoming murky, yet the real honey had a little bit of pattern, like the way it kind of landed in the bottom of the glass, and it's kind of started dissolving the same way. But after sitting there for a couple of hours, I can still see a little bit of coating on the bottom where the honey was, and I don't see anything where the adulterated version is, so it's pretty much totally dissolved. And you probably can't see this, but the water is that much more cloudier. Right, another thing. So this is kind of, you know, a good idea to an easy idea to just test it for a bit of fun. Right, so another option, right, with the water. People saying if you put your honey on a plate, on a dish, whatever, and then you put some water on the top, and then you swirl this around, and they're saying, well, apparently the real honey will create a honeycomb effect because the honey has a memory. Well, this is unfortunately is a myth, okay, because I have tested this with the real honey, with the fake honey, and with the sugar syrup. And unfortunately, they do all behave the same way. This is simple physics, okay? We're talking about the viscosity of honey, okay? Be it adulterated honey or sugar thing or sugar syrup, okay? It is very thick, okay? So its viscosity is much thicker than water. So when you swirl the water over the top of the surface of the sugary liquid, it is only natural it's going to create a pattern. And believe this or not, that even the honey one, okay, hasn't actually created a honeycomb pattern. It was a pattern. Pattern was different to the another liquid or another honey, shall we say, but it's only due to the reason where the position and the way the water is flowing. So this one test, unfortunately, is non-conclusive because it is what happens with whatever you test. And again, every honey got different viscosity, different thickness, that kind of thing. So this test, unfortunately, is a no-go. So next test, right? And there's two options. People were talking about matches, okay, and there was another one that people were talking about the kitchen towel or paper, that kind of thing. And it says that if you submerge the match into the real honey, okay, it will still light because it has very little moisture content. Yet if you submerge the match into the fake and adulterated honey, the match wouldn't light because of the water content. Well, to be fair, the honey is normally adulterated with sugar syrup rather than water, and technically the consistency is quite often very similar. So I've attempted and I've tried multiple times. I've tried this with the matches and I tried this with the paper. Okay, the idea with the paper, they're saying that because, again, the fake honey be adulterated with a bit of water, it wouldn't burn properly, it would just sort of crackle and it wouldn't burn, yet honey will burn. But guess what? I've tried this and they both burned and they both crackled, okay? Not particularly the great flame, but the fact is they all reacted the same. And the same thing with the match, okay? I tried to light them, they both lit, and to be fair, the honey one, the real honey one, didn't get lit as well as the fake honey because it's that much thicker. But to be fair, because of the amount of honey and fake honey on the match, it just didn't do that well. So to me, that's also rather inconclusive. So there's another test, okay, but this is, I think, to test for really, really properly contaminated honey. If you have add on a spoon of honey and then add on a little bit of water, you dissolve that together, and then apparently if you add on a little bit of acid, like vinegar, if it foams, that means it's got some other contaminants like chalk, because to make maybe a honey cloudy. I've tried this, I haven't had that, but to be fair, I do expect that if this happened, I probably would have been quite a bit of shock and would have been on the phone on the email for the FSA. But nonetheless, okay, that hasn't happened. But okay, depending where you're watching from, depending what the levels of honey, where they're coming from, this is apparently a very good test to see, to show that your honey is actually contaminated. So next thing, guys, we're moving on to the one that I found work quite well. Okay, it's a bit dodgy when they're demonstrating, but okay, if you take a spoon of your honey, okay, whether you're testing your real one as a comparison or whatever, pick up a little bit of honey, don't put too much because it's going to take a while, and then put the lighter to it, okay, and ideally take the one with the stick, the longest one, because it does get hot and it does take a while. Basically, if you hold that underneath, okay, and wait for it to start bubbling, you'll soon find out that the adulterated honey, okay, and I've tried this with the sugar syrup and the bottom line cheap honey, which is in fact not honey, pretty much, it becomes very thick, okay, and it smells like very thick version of syrup. And after, when a spoon cools down, okay, it pretty much becomes caramel. It just becomes really, really hard. So that to me indicates that that part of honey, that kind of honey, is absolutely full of sugar syrup and that kind of thing. And at the same time, if you do this with a real honey, and again, you make it go bubble, you will even smell the honey, whether the adulterated version didn't. It just smelled like burnt sugar. It's a big, big difference in the smell, okay? And afterwards, okay, your honey doesn't go hard. It would never settle like it did with the other thing. So it'll still be a bit thicker, but it'll smell nicer and it wouldn't go hard once it's gone cold. So to me, that was quite a good test. The next thing, again, it's a bit peculiar one, but people were saying about the test on your thumb. So you can put this, say, take your a honey thing, right? Put this on your thumb, and some people put this on a like inside, or some people put on the top. But I've done this test, right? So yeah, you put a bit of what meant to be a honey, and then you try to sort of move your finger about, and apparently the cheap honey, it basically runs off your finger. Okay, whether if you put the real one, it stays on there. So this is the experiment. So this is the cheap honey. Okay, you can see it's about to go. Okay, so let me clean this off. And so now let's try this with this kind of honey. This is 100% real honey. We can see the consistency is very runny because it's crystallized at the bottom a little bit as well. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit on my thumb. Okay. Right, so it's on my thumb, and it's still moving because it is the same similar consistency. So it's kind of like, if you put a thicker honey on there, of course, yes, it will stay. But the thing, the honey, and this is 100% raw honey, it is moving. Although I give it that, it just taking that much longer. Look, it's kind of froze. So it's kind of semi good test nonetheless. Okay, so next thing. So I have here a torch, not an ordinary torch, but in fact, this is a UV torch. So let's go in the dark. So guys, here we are. We are in the dark. So, okay, this is the fun part. So I'm going to start from the left. So we have a honey of a one brand cheap honey. We have another brand of cheap honey. Look at that, light just goes straight through it. Ooh, look at that. We have sugar syrup. It's identical color to the honey. And then, oh, look at that. We actually have a decent honey. Look at that. This is pretty amazing, okay? And this is all down to, apparently, the real honey, or a lot of them, have some natural compounds. They actually do glow under the dark. And it does differ from honey to honey to the extent it actually glows. But you can see that. This is absolutely crazy, okay? I just showed you this one more time. The honey, sugar syrup, the same. Nothing natural there left whatsoever. And boom, there we are. Okay, again, this is not conclusive. I'm just saying to you, this was a fun fact. It was a research that I made, and it did in fact say that yes, some honey does glow under UV. And what do you know? Okay, this is pretty awesome. So that to me indicates this is definitely fresh honey. It's definitely raw because, well, it's what it is. It's got the pollen in it, and there we are. Okay, one of the best ways for me now to test. So guys, there we are. That was rather interesting, wouldn't you say? So anyway, there are the tests, okay? This is all the tests that have been available to us. This is the research that I've made. And yes, we can see that a lot of them are not conclusive because yes, it does really depend on many things. And of course, for some of you who still think that potentially the 89p honey is a real deal because it kind of reacts similar to other things, it's just purely not the case. But anyway, hopefully guys, you find this video helpful or in fact entertaining. I said, it's quite a little bit of fun trying to do this. So if you're intending to do something just for the research point of view or to do something with the kids, I think that's a good way forward. So anyway, if you have found this video helpful, please don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I shall see you in the next video.